Hello, mayors. Hello, mayoresses. How are you all doing? I hope you're well. We're here to start another episode of Bahia by Barboza. If you like this series, I kindly ask you to leave your like here at the beginning of the video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I also ask you to consider subscribing to the channel. Let's go together towards 100,000 subscribers. While you contemplate here the Chinese temple we built in the center, in the heart of our future Chinese city, which will stay safely kept here. While we speed up the other matters of our state, we need to finish our industrial complex and the two American cities, right? That said, let's get to another video here in Bahia from Barboza. Well, the subdivision here turned out really nice, didn't it? The little alleys remain, but we'll save those for later. Because here in the middle of these blocks, I'm going to fill it with little alleys, right? In this case, here's another one, and here's another one. So there are several big blocks that we took inspiration from Chinese cities. And, of course, I'm going to build some more megalomaniac structures to really represent the audacity of the Chinese. But let's take this trip, right? Leaving this isolated corner of the map, crossing the valleys, taking the highway, passing through the German city, right? Passing along the coast here, passing through the English city, seeing the view of the buildings of our American city over there on the other side. Right? Both New York and the Californian city over there. And let's go back here to our mega industrial complex, which still isn't working. Because we haven't connected the ends of the train tracks that are left over here. So in today's episode, we're going to do this mega project, right? We have two ends. This one to connect the cities on the continent here, and this other end to connect the American cities. Well, we already have a release date for the bridging bridge and ports downloadable content, right? And it's going to have drawbridges here like we've already seen in the trailers, right? That will open up. So I believe we'll be able to put a train track bridge here that won't block the passage of boats, right? So this bridge here will be for an episode that comes out after the downloadable content. And this bridge here we're going to build in today's episode. And it's going to be very complex because the route is long. Because, right, we have cities between the two ends here. We have cities, we have mountains, we have lakes, right? Also, there are farms, industries, and many things in between both sides. Because we really want to, relieve the only cargo station we have in the city for now. And this is the only city that has a cargo station, right? We would need to think about a cargo station here, for the English city as well. A cargo station here in these industries. And then, finish here. And maybe even take it to the port, right? Actually, the port is going to be... I'm considering building a port here with the downloadable content when it's released, so we need to prepare for that too. Or even here, look, in this bay, right? We could also have a cargo port around here. Anyway, we can use this whole coastline here. But alright, shall we start from the opposite way then? I'll separate the railway networks. I think from here, it's just that here it's divided, right? Both the passenger line and the freight line, right? They split here, this track coming from outside the map. It has to split eventually. Is this where it splits? To serve the station, and here there's also a split, right? Here comes the passenger line, and here, it's a line that doesn't stop at this passenger station, right? But both meet here and continue their journey. Alright, so what I'm going to do is pull from here, right? A third route that will join this highway here, see? And come through a tunnel to here, together with this highway. Or maybe I'll bring it underneath here, see? So let's go. Yeah, I'll take this track here. I think it could even be up to here, see? And make a parallel connection already, right? The topography, and looking here to see where we can go through, right? Man, the mountain already starts right up here, right? We might have to make a tunnel right here. Look at that, right? Here, things are tough. What bothers me about the tunnels here in City Skyline 2 is that for them to look good, they have to be really deep. But here, I didn't want them to be that deep, because we're going to lose a lot of slope, right? Look, here I'm going to keep the same level, so the slope will be at 0.1%. So, basically, I'm going to keep the track really straight. Alright then, see? It's already underground. Ah, now it is. Okay. Here, it's already made some little side barriers, and here it could already be an entrance to a tunnel. And it could come out here, look, and I would make it parallel here with this little road. No, but then I don't think it would look that good. Maybe parallel here with the highway itself. Passing this track through here, look, let's see how it turns out. Is it here? Look, the slope is the same, right? 0%. So, look, a parallel is done here. All right, so now we have to take this tunnel here and bring it over here. I think it's better to make the exit here first and then connect the two underground ends, okay? So here I'm going to make a gentle curve and start thinking about this descent to the basement level. Oh, shoot, there's a pipe here, right? Hold on, I'll redo this water line here later. Actually, yeah, it connects our village here at the top of the mountain, right? I'll go through another way later. Let's just finish this connection here. Here, I'd only gain about 0.2 in height. So, okay, right, it's still in a straight line. And then, from here to there, it has to be a tunnel, man. Let me see how much height difference we have here. 2.5%. That's not much. We have a limit of 3 there for the train, right? So that's a height gain that's actually manageable for the train. Let's go ahead and make this entrance here. Look, that's great, right? Coming out here, see? With an incline of only 2%, so everything's great here. All right, we've got the track done up to here, right? We just need to connect it to the rest of this main network, which is where the split will be, right? Of the lines. All right, so main track, right? Tunnel under the intersection. And at the exit here, right? We have the exit from the cargo station, which is here. And there's this exit that goes to the other cities, right? Already in this tunnel. And then it stays right next to the highway here. I think this part here, actually, you could even put a big retaining wall here. Oh, this effect looks nice here. And then here we're going to start another tunnel right here. Look, it seems like there's a space reserved just for that. Let's go ahead and pull this extension here. Here it is. Look, we're going to end up to keep the track really straight, right? No elevation gain at all. And let's check out the tunnel. Look, the tunnel is already done here. Perfect too. Wow, I'm actually impressed. I thought it was going to be a big mess. And then from here, man, we have to think about this site already in the English city to build a cargo station. The main roads here in the back of the city are this one, right, which has access to the highway, and this one here, right, which cuts through the city in the middle. And the two meet at this point here, where we even have a decent structure. What's happening here? There's a traffic hotspot, right? But nothing too serious, no. Over here, there isn't any. Yeah, so maybe I would put the station around here. This part of the land here, it's not flat. If you take a look, right? Here, look, it starts to go up. So the station would have to be around here, where these farms are. And in theory, it's easy to expropriate a farm, right? Since there's not much built, just crops, I'd make use of it and let the farms reach here, see? And I would bring the track all the way here and put it into a tunnel. And I don't know, maybe this tunnel would only see the light of day again right here. Look, here would be a good spot for us to have a station, because there's this east-west avenue in this industrial district here, right? I'm not sure. I'd pull a branch line here, and the main track would continue here, giving access to a track, actually a station here for the future port, and then it would finally connect here. Sounds like a good plan, right? I'm just a little bothered by this huge tunnel here. I wanted to make something smaller to, of course, make it more feasible, both physically and economically. Or I would make an elevated track around here, right? And then I would make a track cutting through this suburb here. Man, I think an elevated one would look cooler, huh? It would look a bit nicer. It would avoid having to make too many tunnels, right? And the most common thing we have is train tracks cutting through suburbs that's everywhere around the world. So it wouldn't be something so exclusive to Praia dos Ingleses. What will hurt me is taking these farmers out of here, you know? At least these fields here will be expropriated. We have some here that are nothing, right? Here and here. Maybe they can turn into something over here too. Let me check the cargo station size to stay here. Ah, man, I forgot that the cargo station is just a terminal. Ah, man, this is going to complicate my logistics. It doesn't keep going, right? The track comes this way, so I'll have to make a parallel one. But all right, let's go. Let's remove these little dirt roads here so they don't get in my way. Look, I could put it a little more over here, but then I won't have space to lay the train track here, so I'll put it right here at the edge of the old farm. All right, we could also add an extra track, but I don't think it's necessary, right? City of the English here, Praia dos Ingleses isn't that big. We could put a storage warehouse, but if I put it here, it would block the passage, or I could make the track elevated over here. It's bad that it can't be attached to another street, right? It has to be necessarily, stuck here. All right, you guys win. I'll put it here, I'll make the track elevated and bring it over here. Okay? So let's go bring this track here to the other side, right? It's finished here in this tunnel, at the start of this tunnel, and it's going to be taken forward. Look, it doesn't even need to be parallel with this highway here because I'm going to bring it over here, right? It can come up to here, more or less. We're going to lose 4 in height, but I raise it a little and we gain here. Look, a good leveling, 0%. Let's see how it turns out. Look, here, he already brought it to ground level. Very good. So it turned out really straight here, right, this crossing. And the cool thing here is that it already comes out a little above the rest of the city. So it already comes out here, look, ready for the overpass, you see? Let's extend it over here, passing through the backyard of the people's house, and put it here too to maintain, look, the slope. And I like to always keep it here around 0%. Here, look, 0.1, because it stays really straight, see? It goes from there, look, it doesn't gain or lose any height. So I like it this way. Now here, I'm gonna bring this route here, more or less, through the inside of the suburb. I wanted it to be something here, okay? Closer to this alley street here, right? To do something kind of parallel to here, right? The streets here are kind of messy. I don't think the engineers would want to go through here. So, let's do this. Expropriate some houses here. Look, up to about here, we make a track. And then, I think we can take advantage and put in 2 tracks, right? I'm bringing one here to this station, so... Or not, right? Or I separate them later. I had room here for us to do this, right? Here, I don't know if there will be as much. It's just that we would have to demolish more houses. All right, done. Here it is, elevated train track. And this way, look, the view, right, of this suburb with this train track, look, passing through here. Man, from here, you can see the buildings in New York. Look at that. Way back there, right? That's crazy. But anyway, I'm gonna try to put this little wall here wherever it's possible, right? Because I think that in the end, it ends up adding some extra support here, and it also keeps it from being too open down here, right? These gaps with shadows, usually, no, they're not good for the neighborhood, no. I'm going to try something here, see if it works. Create some nodes here to see if I can make these tunnels even more adjusted here. Look, with the roads, usually it doesn't work. If they're too close to each other here, it doesn't work, but let's try. Then I just delete it here, see? Then I keep it, see? The column is exactly where I wanted it, so in the end, it's a good technique. It's not perfect, but it turned out nice, right? It's good. And then here, now, yes, I'm gonna join this end to this one here, using this side here, look, as the main path. Maybe even over the warehouse itself. Bring it over here more or less like this, and here make a turn, look, going over the road. Will it fit here? Let me see. Damn, actually it won't, huh? It would have to stay on the side of the road, but that's okay. Let's stick to the plan. And from here, I can already pull the connection from this part to this one. More or less here. This way, we'll have a slope of 1.2%. That's great. And now, of course, we have to take care of the bugs, right? There can't be a column here, right? There can't be a tree. And now, 2 junctions here from the station to the track, and this separation here with the main track as well. This part will be easier. Just join both here. And here it's going to be a bit more complicated because we're going to remove a track from ground level. To put it here at an elevated level, man, this could make things harder for us, especially because I think the elevation gain is too high for such a small space. Let me see, from here to here, look, it's 2.5%. it's still within our standard, right? Let's try at least set it to about 7.5%, 7.5 meters. Up to here, so we can get over this road here easily. We actually gain here over 3% in height, see? Here it would work, but it's on a very sharp curve. I think it's easier to do it going down, you know? Pull here. Look, right after the tunnel exit, there's already a parallel here going down. Again, we're going to lose some houses, but there's nothing we can do about it. Look, the exit here is connected. A little retaining wall here always helps. The dirty work here is disguising the imperfections of the terrain. All right, look, this exit here is really good. And now, right, just connect it to the station. Since that side over there is already done, I believe it'll be easier. See you. Let's see here. I think the height of the highway here ended up a little low. Maybe I'll raise this node here just to lift it up a little. All right. And then make the other connection here. And that's it, my friends. Looks like it's gonna stay like this, right? There's that slope there. Just put the little walls here and the job is done. Man, what a job, huh? A huge project here, an intervention, revisiting old cities, cutting them in half to make cargo logistics easier. All this to see if our trade demand comes back, right? Here it is. Look, the access is done. The passage to here is done, right? Cutting through the suburb. Now let's go to this section, right? We have a mountain here. I'm thinking about keeping this track elevated, going around the mountain, okay? And here, this track on the right, it's going to give access to a station here, and the track on the left will keep going parallel here with this highway, and we'll probably have to expropriate a few blocks here as well. Before starting this construction there, I just want to replant the trees that used to be here, and also the houses that were here and aren't anymore. Look, this street right here, it doesn't even need to exist. Actually, you could have houses here too, right? But I think these houses are way too close together here. I'm gonna give them a bit more yard space and adjust some of these streets so that it matches our layout better, which is being readjusted, going through a process of adaptation here to accommodate the train tracks. All right, let's wait for these little houses here to grow, okay? Leaving some extra space here where we're going to put trees. So here's the tree, just like we want. And we're going to create our green corridor here. Look, with plenty of trees. Look at that, how nice it's turning out, huh? It was a good idea to leave this space here. It not only looks better, but also reduces noise pollution from the trains here. Nice. Now, let's get started on this section. Here I can make both tracks, even with the parallel tool activated. I just need to find a height here, more or less, that doesn't drop too much, right? From this straight section here. So here we have, look, a drop of 1%, 0.5%, and here, look, 0%. So we're going to keep everything at the same level. I'm even going to activate this here, look, this squeeze, so we can have the big wall, right? On both sides here, on both tracks, then I think we can even draw a straight line here and bring a curve over here. We're going to make this curve here, and then again, ideally, this should be a straight line, right? But if I draw it straight, I'll cross over here. So I need to adjust the angle at the curve's exit a bit. I've already made these tracks here to make it easier to fit everything together. Here, look, a simple curve tool. And I'm going to try to find this dashed line. Look here, look, it's right here. Look, just keeping it like this. This angle here is at 180 degrees. So that's the dashed line over there. The angle there is 180 degrees. All right, it's more or less here. And then look, I can complete it with the best curve possible, right? And now the same thing here on the other side. Look, I found it here, the dashed line from over there with 180 degrees from here. And then I also connect both sides. They'll be really parallel, look, passing right here at the foot of the mountain. From here, right? They'll split apart. So let me go ahead and put a charging station in this factory. Since it's a one-way street, I don't think there would be a problem if I put a charging station right here, directly on it, right? Well, let's test it out, right? If anything, I'll make an exclusive access here. But we already get this end of the train track here. We can also put a warehouse here since there's space for it, right? And what about putting a second track, man? I don't know how long it stays flat down here. when does the foot of the mountain start, right? It starts right here, man. So I'm gonna have to level it out then so we can have a smoother exit from this track over here. I'll take everything out. Look, I'm not really cutting into the mountain that much, see? You see? Here I'm going to make a slope to go under this expressway viaduct. So I'll use the slope tool to make this ramp here. All right, nice. And then from here, I can already make a curve, right? A curve this way, a drop of about 1.5%. That's perfect. And here, I'll already pull the connection for this section, so I'll put it here. Simple curve tool. Same thing here. Look, find the dashed line and bring it over here. Done. And then make this connection too for the second rail. Connect it here. Look, up to where does the mountain allow this meeting? It turned out good. Let me show you the final result, okay? Look how it turned out, coming from here, going around the mountain, and finishing here at this station. The road is really amazing, isn't it? It's very consistent here, see? Smooth curves, right? Nothing like a roller coaster. It's pretty straight here, the train tracks. Yeah, that's it. That's what it's about, right? It's really calm here too. And here, I think you don't even need these little side barriers, right? It's only when the slope is really steep. Here, I think you do need them. Look, so the two highways here are even at different levels, see? So here, I think it's good to have this little side barrier. Look here, there is, one goes lower, right? The other stays up here and they run parallel. It's really nice. And it makes sense, right? Since the mountain goes up, the track here has to be higher than the track over there. All right, now we just have this end left, right? Bringing it over here is going to be kind of complicated because besides the lots, we have a huge intersection here that uses all the levels, right? From underground to elevated levels. It might be kind of complicated, but let's try. Yeah, doing what we can here. Yeah. Here we have a crematorium. I didn't tell you guys, but there have already been about 3 or 4 episodes where I installed a mod. So we don't need a crematorium service in the city. Man, even with 1 million crematoriums, you still get 1 million body notifications, right? It's not even a death wave, I think. It's actually a bug, okay? And it was bothering me. So I installed the mod and they disappeared. And for me, it's much better this way. So I didn't remove the crematoriums we already had. But we don't need them, right? Let's just leave them there, right? To complete the landscape, the scenery. But we won't need them anymore. Right, here, maybe... Look at what I'm thinking. Instead of running this train track through here, on this side of the highway, we could run it on this side here, right? Bring it here. Look, under the highway too, right? And bring it up here. I think there's more space. And we wouldn't have to expropriate any houses here, right? I think this side here is better. Also, the end point where we're going to finish this whole route, it's on this side, right? On this side. So, it's a much better idea. I think I'll go ahead and do the elevated part from here. I always like to have somewhere to connect first, okay? Rather than pulling from here blindly and deciding here where this continuation will go. I like coming here since I already set my preferred height. 7.5 works, right? Just enough to cross this street, and it could even be more over here, see? What's the limit here? So it doesn't hit this building. It's about here. So leave this 7.5 here. Look, going up this way. See, just to let me see what height is needed here to get over this huge overpass. Look here, we're going to go up by 1.8%, 2.7. Look, up to here we could go up, see? 16 meters, but let's go up 15. I think it's okay. Let's put it here, and then look, make this connection from here to here and hope this ends up at a good height. It didn't end up at a good height, see? The wires are crossing. We have to do it differently. Yeah. Instead of going from here to here, I'll start from here to there. And see when we can reach 3% slope here. Look, 3.1. It's still going to be a little trick, right? The right thing is not to, right? I should pick 3 or 2.9. But that's okay. Let's see now if it got better. Look now, yes, okay. Now it's still hitting the concrete up here, but at least it doesn't show up here, right? I'm even going to grab these 2 knots here, 1 on each side, lift them up a little bit just to give it a finishing touch. All right? So our rail is going to go up here, see? And here it will come right parallel to the highway and enter its last tunnel here. And we'll finish the route. If we had a height of 15 meters here, let's bring back those 15 meters here. Man, it can come pretty straight here. Look. And from here, it can already make a curve to stay parallel with the highway, and I'll start going down here. Little by little, because here we'll have to bring this train track down to ground level here, look, to make this tunnel. From here to there, straight. Do you think it will work well? Let's see. Yeah, it didn't turn out well. It cut the mountain in half. No, man, it's a tunnel. If I create some nodes here, look, from here to, I don't know, about here, and update this part in the middle as a tunnel, right here. Would it get the message? My fear is what? Crash as usual. Let me save the game and let's go. Yeah, tunnel done. So I can delete these auxiliary tracks here, right, that I made to help myself. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. I'm just going to smooth it out here. And on the other side too. Man, the problems I avoided in other tunnels I'm facing in this one. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't get messed up. Let's see. Yeah, it's a bit better here. This side is good. I won't even touch it anymore. Now, I'll do here and here. It's a bit better too. Yeah, it's good. It's perfect. Now I just need to connect this to the main track and we'll finish everything. We are at 0 days without crashing city skylines while making a tunnel. Our record is 0 days. All right, guys, I'm back now to stay. I fixed it here, but there was a problem, right? Here, look, in this tunnel here, I had to redo it all over again. You can see there aren't even any trees here. Why? Because when I reloaded the save, it forgot that this was a tunnel, so there was that big cut in the middle of the mountain. I faced all the same problems in this tunnel as in the other one and had to redo it. But yeah, even though I lost quite a bit of time, it's okay. That's why I say, recording City Skylines gameplay is complicated because you lose a lot of time on really subtle little things, right? But anyway, the important thing is that now finally our tracks are connected here. To be honest, now I'm just thinking about adding a return here further ahead. In this part, I think we could make a connection here. So this port can, come here too and flow out. This port, not this station, and flow out here at the port we're going to have here, right? So I think a connection here would be very welcome, precisely for this reason. And the 2.5 slope here will be perfect too. And we would also have another project here from the rail to here that I actually wanted to do, which was an escape here, right? Then here from our yard, leaving from the German city station. Yeah, so we can bring passengers to this new network we made for the people here in Praia dos Ingleses, right? Manage to make this loop here and come to the French city. And who knows, maybe even a station here in our Eastern European village. A lot of people say, Barboza, are you forgetting about the Eastern European village? Yes, I admit it. What is this here, man? There's simply I don't even know what this is. Whoa, let me get this out of here. Actually, what happens with the Eastern European village is that the space I chose to build it is very small. That's it. We have some cool buildings like these here, but the ideas I have just don't fit here. So maybe it'll just end up being a small little village. I'll close off these blocks, decorate the square, and that's it, okay? And I'll stretch the suburbs a bit more this way. I think that's it. That's how it's going to be in the end. But anyway, we can have a station here too, right? But then this passenger rail construction here, I'll do it later. Because it will have to... This track coming out of here will have to connect to this track on the right? It's going to be a bit of work because I'll have to move this track over to the other side, right? And then connect it here. I can do it, but it's going to be a lot of work, and it's not necessary for today's episode, especially because we're thinking about cargo right now, and later we'll set up logistics here for the passengers, obviously. A lot of people commented that I could make a passenger station here, maybe here. I don't know if a passenger station would fit in this space. A small station, look, it would fit here, right? Maybe on this street to serve the people or... Yeah, the workers, right? You could even have two, actually, one here and another one here. One for those coming here from New York, from the cities inspired by the United States, right? And another one for those coming here from the European cities. So you could even put two Maybe by removing this wall here, right? A retaining wall and placing the station, both stations, right? They're pretty small, so it would fit easily. Look, one here and the other here. There would already be some difficulty because the space is tighter. Maybe I'd have to take this part out, see, and put the station here. And this section here would be connected here, right? On the freight track. Wow, the small station is really very small, okay? Really, really small. I think for an industrial district, it works really well. Then I would join here. Look, this part here, up to here, more or less. So we can still keep 2 access points to the cargo station here, right? And the lines stay separated. I just have to connect this one up to here now, like this, more or less. Perfect. So it's gonna go up a little here. Actually, it's going up too much here, right? I'll have to start raising it a little earlier. This knot here, it can stay at the same height as the station. Up to this height here. All right. And then start going up here. Look, just a little before here so we can keep the 2 tracks at different levels, right? I think it's an uphill, okay? Look, there's a column here that shouldn't be here. All right, and I think those little retaining walls would fit here too. Especially because the height here, look, of the 2 rails will be different heights. So look, it actually works really well here, this barrier here, separating both rails. And then look, one goes up and the other stays here at the same level. And then we have a passenger station here to serve the people. I think I'm even gonna go around here, look, to remove this slope here so we can continue the little wall here. So let's go around everything here, look. Obviously, put everything at the same height level too. There you go, it looks a bit better, right? Than that slope that was here before. So, a station is done here. Now, let's do the same thing on the other side, on the other one, using a separate track here. There are quite a lot of tracks on this side, right? It should be pretty chill. I mean, it was supposed to be, right? It's not connecting properly here. Maybe. If I bring it a little closer here and connect it from here, it might be better. Because we already have a knot here, right? And then, look, I create another knot there. A bit lower, it's going up too suddenly. I'll keep this knot at the same height as the others so it goes up smoothly. No rush. This knot too. At the same height as the street already, yeah, there's a good ramp here, and it's the same thing here. See, a little containment barrier here, right? Put this height division here, height separation, and smooth out this land here too. And that's it, man. Both sides here supplied with 2 cargo stations and with 2 passenger stations as well, right? The workers here from our complex, which now has these 2 stations here, I'm even going to build a walkway here, a passage that will connect here with both stations. But only for those on foot, right? Because sometimes, you know, the guy comes from those European cities, right? He'll get off at this station, but he works over here on this side. So he takes the walkway here and ends up at the factories here, right? Yeah, the height. I thought it ended up being a bit too high, right? I think we could lower this walkway a little bit. It's great like this, right? It becomes a ramp here. Let's pretend there's a step here, okay? So there you go. Look, the crossing is done here too. What do you think? Lastly, I'm just gonna show you now. A change I made here in this district, right, was to connect this avenue here with this other one. Look, underground. So we have, look, a connection on both sides through here, right? So there's a passage here underneath the 2 cargo stations, and we have 2 access ramps. So the guy will also be able to leave from here, look, and access the stations here, or just keep going straight to the other side, right? It's the same on that side, right? There you go. It's also an easy access. I hope this district here turns out well. To start, we're already going to divide it into lots. I think I'll start dividing it into lots. On this side, which is bigger, or maybe on this smaller side, I'll go with this one. Start here, look, with this row here, and let's already let the industries grow there. We need to connect one of the stations. I'll connect one here for now. And we need to check the water connection here, right? The sewage isn't getting through. I think I'll pull a connection from this avenue to the city, right? I'll go through here, look, and I'll connect to this avenue here. Done. I think they'll be supplied, both the stations and the industries here. No? Huh, it's not connected. Oh, sewage is missing. I need to update this. Look, I only ran water. All right, it's solved here. Look, there's still industrial demand going on. So now I'm gonna fill in the other side here. Man, we spent like 3 episodes doing this here. And this is gonna be filled up really fast, okay? According to the demand we're having here. You'll see. Look, I'm even going to use the edges here. Look, this edge here, look, it's also going to be industry. And now, right? Let's connect our loading station all the way to the edge of the map. So we have a map edge with a railway from here, right? Man, I think it's getting a bit overloaded, huh, this track here. Later, we need to make another exit from the map, right? To the other side, maybe? Over here, look, an exit here. I think it would be good for us to go ahead and make it here like this so we can already reach this point outside and connect it here to the station's access points. Then, in the future, I'll also go around here with this track over here to serve this area as well, right? With passengers, our future French city here. So, there will still be a small train track complex, right? I need to bring this here too. To connect with another line and the cargo airport anyway, there will still be a little logistics area here on this side. The important thing is that everything finally started working, right? After a few episodes, we already have the demand back. Let's keep serving. Look, we won't have the industry facing the avenue, right? Obviously. And look, the trucks are starting to use our structure here to access everything, see? Here too, look, we're actually missing vehicles here, right? We don't have cargo vehicles to come here. In the train yards, all the vehicles are in use. Does it have expansion here? No, just an extra track, no garage. We'll need another yard. Man, we think we're finishing up, but then there's always another problem, right? And the train yard, it's massive, right? Here in this area, maybe there's space to put another train yard. Yeah, I have it. Maybe I'll put it here. Yeah, I think it could work, man, because later I'll, pull everything over here, look this way. And maybe we can meet the demands here for all sides. Let me see if it looks good here. No, it doesn't. Look, man, these bugs here. There are some serious bugs going on here. I'll have to do this later and more calmly. The good thing about all this is that you guys like logistics episodes, right? So, it looks like we're still gonna have a few more segments, a few more adventures with this. But that's it, my dear friends. Look at the whole journey we've made. Thank you so much for watching up to this point, right? All this planning, opening up paths here. Railway workers with Barboza, you're amazing and awesome, right? Just like our councilmen whose names are showing up there are as well. In the comments, no, not in the comments, in the credits, as a way of saying thank you. We're in this together, always, okay? Yeah, thank you so much, always. A really big hug for you all. And see you next time with more logistics in another episode, and that's it.